So he has completed developing, and now he has given to testers to test. So product came with an error. How the error got originated? Because of fault made by the developer while writing the code. Okay, first of all, it starts from a fault, then due to fault it leads to error, right? So tester receives the uh, built application, and basically QA testers in general, I'm talking, forget about manual and automation, the basic tester work I'm talking. So tester starts testing the website. So whenever he finds that this Google search button is missing, and then he will make it as a defect. Okay, then that terminology is called as defect. Yes, something is missing as per requirement specification documents which were given to us, right? So for example, he'll start open this page and he will try to identify the Google search button, but he misses it, right? So this when the tester found the defect, I mean when the tester found there is a misinterpretation between the documents what they have given and application which is under testing, if they found there is a difference, then he will report it as defect. So tester says it is a defect. Now, so when he founds the defect, the first job what he has to do is he need to assign it to developer back by telling that I have found the defect in the application which I am going to test. It is as not per requirement specification, or like as per the documents what they have given, it is deviating. So tester says that Google search button is missing, I have seen the defect, please verify it, right? So there are different ways how the he will talk with developer, that we will see in the ongoing. So it is not a simple telling to developer, okay, I found some defect. Okay, there are some kind of procedure, there is some kind of life cycle to follow to talk to the developer. Okay, the conversation between the tester and developer will be a kind of life cycle, a step-by-step procedure. It's not just I found the defect, please check. There are a lot of hierarchies involved between these two, I mean, meeting. So we'll see all those, but before that, so I'm just telling the terminologies. So when he says to development team regarding the defect, once developer confirms that yeah, that is the defect, then it is called as bug, right? So again I'm telling, once the developer accepts the defect which is raised by testers, then that will be called as bug. So what I'm going to tell is the basic differences between what is error, failure, defect, and bug. There are four terminologies, almost all stands in the same line, but there is a difference between all the four. Generally when you check, some people say I found the defect, some people say I found the bug in the application. Okay, so both will be used in the same lines, but there is a difference between the defect and bug, right? Once the tester observed uh, some kind of defect which is not per the deviations, that is called as a defect. And when we assign to the developer, and when the developer sees it as a confirms as it is a defect, then that would be called as bug. Okay, this is the major difference between a failure. First of all, failure, okay, fault. Developer while writing the code makes a fault, it will leads to error, and when it is deployed to the tester, and when tester identifies that error, then he will raise it as a defect and he will assign back to the developer, and once developer confirms the defect, then it would be turned as bug. Okay, and this is how the basic terminologies. Okay, so Next, if you are not able to, actually we have unmuted you. I hope organizer has unmuted you. You can ping me in the chat box. You are telling that you could not see, right? Okay, no problem. Let me continue the class. Note down your questions, what you have, and we'll discuss after a few minutes. Okay, so just concentrate here. If you have doubts, it's very good. Just note down. We will discuss after some time. This is how the basically happens, a defect, and this defect plays a major role in a testing perspective, because the main aim of a tester is to find a defect. And see, finding a defect, observing the defect is one side of testing. The other side is to make the developer to know the what exactly the defect is. Okay, how you are reporting the defect with information, right? Because developer should understand exactly where the defect is, and you need to provide the clear cut information to the developer, and it should be followed in the set of process. There is one process uh, established between a developer and tester regarding this defect, right? Now we will divide our class into two sections. In today's section, I'll talk about how the interaction happens between the developer and tester, and what is the defect lifecycle management, and what all the status are used in talking to developer, and main fields for a defect. In tomorrow class, all the concepts what we have learned today, we will do practically on QualityCenter management tool, and we will raise a defect. Okay, so I can't start directly with opening QC and this is the defect and all those. First of all, you should be clear with the concepts. So today class will be entirely on theory basis, and you will get a complete clear cut. And tomorrow, the what the concepts we thought, practically we will apply it on QC management tool, and we will raise a defect, and we will explore all the fields present in the defect management tool in QualityCenter, right? Okay, fine. So take a scenario. These are different states of bug are there. There is no exact procedure that every company should follow these states. Okay, there are few states which will be followed by all the companies over the globe, but it depends upon, again, a company. They will have some set of states when talking with the developer and tester, but what I am showing you is in general way. These are generally used, these states are generally used while raising the defect, and between the developer and tester, these are the stages which we generally use. But one or two stages what we have seen here may not be used in some companies. It's their own perspective. So what I'm going to say is I have taken all the possibility states where we can choose. Okay, that's why I have consolidated all the possible states, and if you learn these, that will be enough. Sorry. Right. Okay, this is the life cycle diagram. I'll make you enlarge. 1 second. Yeah, oh, it's very big. Okay, fine. So first of all, right, we'll take one practical application. Okay, so assume that we will be working on google.com page only, and this Google search button is not working. Okay, this button is not there. So the testers, now assume that you are in tester position and you are starting testing a site, and you found that button is missing. Okay, then the first stage, you will open a defect. Okay, to open the defect, we should give some kind of information, right? That kind of information we'll be talking in tomorrow class, because that we have to explore the fields. I'll take a quality center as an example, and I will show you tomorrow how to raise the defect. But before that, just I will take what are the stages. This is mandatory before exactly raising the defect. You have to know about all these terminologies. Okay, without knowing that, it's not good practice to go and jump directly in raising a defect. Okay, whenever once you found that something is missing, you open the defect. Okay, how to open and all I'll tell you, just be with me. You open the defect by giving status of the defect as new. Okay, status new in the sense, yes, I have found the defect, new defect, right, and assigned it to developer. So once again I'm saying, so raising a defect is of kind of few fields are there that we'll be discussing tomorrow. I'm isolating that raising a defect and concepts of defect management life cycle. Today I'm discussing about life cycle. Okay, you will raise a defect with a status new and you will assign to developer. Okay, but here you have to see, you cannot assign the what I have used is wrong terminology. You cannot assign the defect directly to the developer. Okay, there is one more layer between the developer and tester, and he is nothing but test lead. Okay. First of all, test lead should confirm that the defect which you have raised is proper or not. I mean, it is raisable, it should be raised or not, because it was silly defect or it is as per standards or not. First of all, test lead should approve that defect. Okay, so what we will do is, in general, when we are raising the defect, we will assign to our immediate test lead. So who was on us above us, we will assign to him. If we are working in a team and we are the resource in that, definitely we will have one test lead, right? So we will be assigning our defect to the test lead by making the status new. Fine. Okay, I will give you this document so you can go through it once. Just for reference I'm taking this. If you see here, when the bug is posted for first time, its status will be new. This means bug is not yet approved. Okay, so here the terminologies I just took it from the net. It is a defect. Don't it's not a bug. Once the developer confirms it, then it will be known as bug, right? So its status will be new and we will assign it to the test lead. Okay, it's still not approved. It's directly, it will not reach to the developer. And this is what we do, this starting stage of raising the defect and assigning to the developer with the new status. Right, now next, okay, we have completed successfully the first step in this diagram. Okay, look carefully on the diagram. We have done the new step. As a tester, I raise the defect by giving an information, and what information and how to raise that all tomorrow. We have raised with a new status and you assigned it to your test lead. Okay, now the job of test lead is to validate the defect. He has to confirm, yes, that is a proper defect or not, that can be raised, is that according to the standards, and is it a valid defect or not. That's the duty of test lead, to verify it, right? So once he confirms that yes, that is a defect, then he will assign it to the developer and make the status of defect as open. Okay, till now it is new. Our only we can raise a defect with the status new. Tester will have the access first of all when he is raising as new only. So test leads take that and he validates the defect, and once he confirms the defect, then he will change the defect status as open and he will assign it to the developer. This will happen in the stage 2. Okay, if you go out and see, after a tester has posted a bug, the lead of the tester approves that bug is genuine and he changes the state to open. Okay, so once he changes status to open, again you have see the third step. Once the lead changes to state open, he assigns the bug to corresponding developer or developer team, and now status of bug now is changed to assign. This is not necessary, so I am telling the defect management cycle by keeping QualityCenter in the mind. Okay, so as I came to know that even you have checking in the QC, right, defect management module, so this step is not, will not be present in QC. That's what I told, right? Everyone will have their own kind of terminologies. So I'm removing that. Simple. He'll raise the defect. Once it is genuine, he will assign to developer and he will make the status as open. Right? So this is the duty of test lead. So if you go for any ISTQB certifications and all, so these will be questions they'll be asking. So who have the rights to change the defect from new to open? Only the test lead. Fine. Now next. So developer takes the defect and he will look into the defect and what information we have provided and where exactly the defect is there, and he will check all of them and finally he will work on it. Okay. Sorry. So till he works on the defect, he will make the status as open only. So status will be as open. So tester can log in to QC every day and he can check the status of the defect. So if he found that it is open, yes, still the developer is working on it. It is not fixed, so we cannot work on it. Okay. So till you see the status as open, the bug is still verified by the developer and he's working on it. You cannot do anything on that. So once the developer fixes, fix the defect, he fixes the code properly, then he will assign the status as fixed. Yes, I fixed the defect and now it's working fine. Okay, but what this exactly mean? See, fixed in the sense, yes, I have fixed that defect properly. Developer will change the status. Yeah, it's now working properly. By telling that. Okay, so once if it is kind of open, you need not touch, but when it is fixed, even then you cannot work on it. Why? See, now today things from developer perspective, today he will fix the defect, but the code build should happen, code freeze should happen, right? So immediately when he fixes the defect, he will not do it in live, he will do in backend. That backend code should be deployed again into our application. For example, you are working under some environment. Okay, you have given some environment URL. Developer fixes that in his code. Okay, but to make it observe from your side, okay, Google search button will only appear once the new code which the developer has built should deploy into our environment. So from then it will start working. So status fixed in the sense, yes, I have fixed it, but it is not ready for you to check, because the new code which he has built should be deployed right before you checking. He will fix in his code and that's his duty. There is one more team who will deploy the newly freezed code into the testing environment again. Yes, this is the new application with all the fixes, please start verifying. Okay, that is the next stage. But here status fixed in the sense, it is just fixed from my side, but still you cannot test it, but I have done. That's what developer intimates it once he changed the status to fixed. Okay, right, you can see that once the developer fixes the bug, he has to assign the bug to testing team for the next round of testing. Yeah, this is followed by some other kind of methodology. You can remove it. So why I have taken this stage is I'll make the changes into this document and I will give you so that you will have clear idea where exactly I'm making the changes. So developer fixes the bug. But it is not ready. The tester to test as code freeze is not happened. This yet to happen. Okay, right now. So we have completed third state. So first of all, till now what you have seen, we will raise the defect new and we will assign to test lead. Test lead will verify the defect, and if he finds that yes it is as per valid, then he will make it open and assign to developer. Developer sees the defect and he will make all the fixes and he will change the status as fixed. Now when the code freeze is happened, okay, when the code freeze is happened, then the status will be changed to ready for retest. This is how we change that status. Either it can be done by either test lead or by developer. He will change the status as ready for retest. Okay, that means a QA perspective. A QA testers now can start retesting the Google page to verify the Google search button is present or not. Now, okay, now it's time for the testers to test. Fine. When so testers should start testing the defect only once he see the status as ready for retest. Fine. So if he sees as fixed, then developer will give comments in the comment section, like yes, I have fixed the code. Code build will happen on that particular day so that you can retest on that particular day. Okay. Comments how to give and all I'll see in the next class. So okay, if you see the fixed, you will come to know at least when you have to retest. So on that particular day, the test lead will change it as ready for retest. So then now it's your duty, once when you have observed that the defect has changed to retest status, you have to go back and retest the defect. Okay, so whether it's working properly or not. So if you have any doubts, I think you can ping in chat box. This is disabled and I think she left. She'll come back again. She is in some kind of work. I think she'll come back. She has access to make you unmute because I don't have access. You can see the chat section under this go to meeting. Some webcam is there under the chat option is there. Now as a duty of tester to verify that it is present as per the requirement document and all. So once he found that yes defect is fixed and it is working as per the requirements, then a tester should close the defect, okay, by giving the comments yes it's working fine as per the required documents, so we'll be closing the defect. Okay, you see this description here. Once the bug is fixed, it is tested by the tester. If the tester feels that bug no longer exists in the software, he changes the status to closed. Okay, that means okay, now defect is working closed, we can close the defect. So he will change the status as closed. Okay, this is normal perspective. This is like if developer fixes in the first attempt, so QA tester can happily close the defect by verifying it and all. But most of the times in practicality it won't happen. Due to that fix, okay, he will try to fix Google search button and this fix will leads to failure of this I am feeling lucky button. I'm just telling example. No, I'm just taking one scenario. Assume that okay, this Google search button is there. Okay, assume that button is present but it is not able to click, or again the button is not visible. So what the developer has fixed, and it is still the defect is present. Okay, so when it is working fine, you can just close the defect by telling yes, it's working fine, change the status to closed. Okay, this is the positive scenario when the developer has successfully fixed the bug in the first attempt. So in this first attempt, let's quickly review what are the stages we came across. One is new, open. Okay, new is when he raises, open when the test lead sees that and opens the defect, and fixed when developer fixes it, ready for retest when developer code fix has happened. And from your perspective, you'll close the defect. Fine. Now, this defect is still present. Okay, the status is ready for retest. Then as a tester, you need to change the defect status as reopen. This one, you need to again reopen the defect. Okay, see, if the bug still exists even after the bug is fixed by the developer, the tester changes the status to reopen. Fine. Now you can reopen the defect again, and directly you can assign now to the developer. Okay, there is no test lead not required, but some companies will tell, okay, again you assign to the test lead, so you reopen the defect, but this time you can directly, or it's internal company issues. But as a tester, from perspective from your side, you will reopen the defect status by changing. Then don't worry, where all this status will be, there will be one column in QC management tool, QualityCenter tool. In the drop down, all these options will be there, and based upon our scenario, we will change the status accordingly. There will be one drop down. Okay, so now observe that this is still not working. Then you will reopen the defect again. Okay, it will go back to the developer, and now once it is reopened, again cycle starts. Developer again, see, once it is reopened, again cycle starts from fix. Developer again will work on it, and if it is working, he will change again it to fix. Once it is fixed, again code deploy should happen, and that will be nothing but ready for retest. Again we will be testing. Okay, again the cycle starts from fixed. Once ready for reopen, developer takes back and work on it, and once he fixes it, he'll change the status as fixed. Again you will get back to it. So if it is working fine this time, you can close. If not, you can reopen again like this. Okay, so this is second scenario. I'll tell you some 4 scenarios totally how that talk happened between the developer and tester. First scenario is positive. Within the first attempt, the developer observed fixed properly, so that tester checks it properly and he closed the defect. That's the step 1, first scenario. Second step is, so developer fixes, does not, I mean he fixed but it is not reflecting, so you need to reopen the defect. Okay, before you closed, now you need to reopen, and it will go back to developer again, and after he fixing, he will change again to fixed, and then ready for retest and close if it works for second time. And now third scenario. Okay, first, once a developer makes it ready for retest for first time, it is working fine, but still due to some issue, you have sent that, you have reopened it by telling it is not working, because on that particular time it does not work, or some kind of cookies problem, there kind of some any other scenario from your side. It is working fine, but you have still reopened it by telling that defect still exists. Then developer checks again, and once he feels that it is working properly and Google search button is present, then he will not change it to fixed, because it is working. Before it was not working, so after reopen he again started working on it and he fixed, but this time it is working, right? So he did not do anything, so he will make the status as rejected. That means, look here, if the developer feels that bug is not genuine, he rejects the bug, then status of the defect is changed to rejected. So whenever developer feels that for example, yes, this is as per requirement, I don't know why did you raise the defect, then simply he will reject the defect. Okay, so in quality center there will be field for you. When you reject the defect, there will be field called rejected reason code. So it's the duty of developer to give the reason for the for the rejection. Okay, he will reject, right? So once he rejected it, there will be one column highlighted in quality center. So it's his duty to mention the reason why he is rejecting. Either it is reproducible, like it is showing, or it is as per requirements, and I don't know, because as per requirements Google search button should not be present, but still the tester raises as it should present. So it is not per requirements, right? So he may mention that it is not in the requirement list, so I could not make it, any kind of reason code. So developer should fill these two fields and he will reject the defect. So once he rejected, it will come back to the person who raised it. That means we again, it will come back to tester. So tester will check the defect. So he has to say, actually he will expect that it should be fixed. But unfortunately, if the defect which he has raised is not genuine, he will see the status as rejected and he will read the rejected reason code. Okay, why exactly the developer has rejected it. And if he feels that yes, it's his mistake, then he will close the defect normally. Okay, so by if he will give the comment that yes, as per rejecting the defect, I mean closing the defect as per developer comments in the rejected reason code, that's it, he can close the defect. So if it is the mistake from tester side, so because every time when the tester raises blindly, the developer will not give us fixed. Okay, if he feels that is not genuine, he will simply reject that without working on it. So you can go back and close the defect again. Okay, this is the third scenario. And now fourth scenario, okay, again will come from first, new, open, he raises the defect, he'll give to test lead will open it and will assign to developer. And assume that there is only 1 week left for release. Okay, but the bug which the developer the bug which we have raised will take minimum of 2 weeks to fix. Then so what developer can do, because he cannot work on it, because the bug to fix takes 2 weeks, but the release is in just 1 week. So he want to postpone the defect which he has raised to next release. Okay, he wants to fix that in the next release, but not in the now due to time constraints. Then he will change the developer. Okay, if it is in the 1 week, if he can complete in the before time, he will work on it and he will make it as fixed and ready for retest and developer test it. That is other scenario. But if he cannot work on it in the given time constraints, he will change the defect as deferred. Yeah, see here what is deferred. When the bug is changed to deferred state, the bug is expected to be fixed in future releases. Okay, in future release, not current release. The reasons for changing the bug to this state has many factors. Okay, that may be the team we're working. Okay, there are kind of issues where it happens. So then he will make as deferred. So once they make the status as deferred, it will come back to us. So tester, while seeing that deferred, he can close that defect, or he can just leave it as deferred. Okay, let it be in the next release. So he cannot work on it, right? Even developer can't work on it to fix that. What can tester do? He will just leave it to the next release. So that's kind of, he cannot work on it once the status is changed to deferred. Okay, these are the 4 scenarios. The first scenario is a positive, new, open, developer fixes it, reject, ready for retest, and it works fine and developer closes it. Second scenario, new, open, he fixed it, but the defect is reproducible, tester can see it again, so he will reopen the defect and he will assign back to developer, and again he fixes, ready for retest, and close. Third scenario, he will developer will fix it and will give us, but still will raise the defect which is not genuine, and he will reject it simply. So once the developer is rejected, you can go back and close the defect by telling this is the reason code what the developer has provided it. So closing the defect as per his requirements, as per his comments. Fourth scenario is deferred, which cannot be done in the current release due to time constraints or it kind of any internal company issues. So once he made deferred, he cannot work on it. They leave just as deferred. So these are the different kind of, I try to tell you in all the possibility ways that may occur between the developer and so these are the communication happens between state tester will know the status of the defect, by just verifying, by just looking at a statement, or it is deferred at any kind. So this status plays just a main role in the defect management lifecycle. Okay, to raise a defect, this status is necessary to you to understand, because this plays a major role. When you try to raise the defect by giving simply some other reason status, it will affect a lot, because people from other side can interpret in the wrong way if you raise in some other kind of status. So because within one defect there will be a lot of people involved in this: developer team, test lead team, and tester. So it's our duty to be very careful while assigning the defects or changing them. Okay, and okay, this is what I want to tell you in today class, concentrating on the defect life. This is the cycle, life management cycle. Okay, so any doubts? I'll make, you can ask me if you have any